Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we're running into our player props video for today on a little 5-game slate tonight, but a couple of juicy matchups and some really good value we're finding on a couple guys in these games tonight. Make sure to check out Nate's great article up on playpicks.com. Has some best bets and player props for you in there as well. And do like and subscribe to the page, as we've got a gift card opportunity up for you in one of our other videos today in that Golden State Phoenix game there. So make sure to like and subscribe to be eligible to win that gift card by jumping into the comments, checking out that video. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area. Nate, let's jump into those player props for tonight.
Yeah, we broke down this game, the Nets and Knicks at Barclays Center. And despite his lower output in recent weeks, I think Kevin Durant does come out looking to score here. I mean, his usage rate is up to 30% in his last 3 home games, including 36% against the Suns as he led a comeback effort there, played 45 minutes. We both expect the Knicks to be able to cover in this game. We expect a hard-fought game, and that means more usage for Mr. Durant, who is not averaging as many rebounds or assists per game at home. His job is just to score, and he has been able to do that against these Knicks, averaging 28 points per game on 50% shooting from 3. And he went 10 for 18 from the field, cruised to 26 points against the Knicks in his lone appearance with the Nets last season. Obviously, with Kyrie Irving in the lineup, he was not asked to score as much there. I'm looking at over 28.5 points. And I'm also looking at his threes here because you get a lot better juice on that. Durant doesn't necessarily pull threes in a lot of matchups, pull a ton of threes, but with the Knicks clogging up the paint, they're number 1 in field goal defense, but they're 13th in three-point defense on the road and 19th overall. And Durant shoots about 45% from deep at home. If he doesn't see the lanes he wants there, or if the Nets somehow end up down, that's when he starts doing that pull-up 3 that's basically unguardable, that pulls his team back into the game. So for him to get over 2.5 threes is decent odds, and for him to get 3 threes in a win, it gets you plus 175 at FanDuel, which is pretty damn good when you talk about a team that has to cover 7 points otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, he's shooting incredibly well. You mentioned his home, 3-point percentage at 44, almost 45%. On the season, it's about 42%. So it's not like it's a huge dip. He is shooting it really, really well this year from 3, taking a few less to your point. But I would focus on those threes tonight. He actually has had 6 assists in his last 3 games. His assist total is at 5.5. It's a little bit tempting for me to take that as well, just because of the recent trend he's been on. But James Harden is also back up to about 11 assists a game over his last 5, which is something I think he's realizing he's going to have to do since his efficiencies are not coming from getting to the free throw line, et cetera. But either way, I think KD comes out tonight for sure. It's a game against the Knicks, and he'll always be sort of tied to that in a way, needing to prove that he made the right choice to go to Brooklyn. So I think he comes out with something to prove tonight as well. Another guy who comes out every single night with something to prove is Dillon Brooks, which is why I'm really happy to be able to take him tonight. In the absence of Ja Morant, this is their really third straight game, as he came out in that game a couple games ago with about 8 minutes into it, with that injury that's going to sideline him for the next 4 weeks or so. And since, he went out in that last game, he was out entirely. And what did Dillon Brooks do after, he's been back for a few games from injury himself? He came back 21 points in 21 minutes with 6 boards. Didn't really need to play that much in that last game. But, in 2 seasons, despite the fact that when Ja's out, his shooting splits drop a little bit, he's still pulling it a lot more, which isn't that, is kind of understanding that his percentages would go down as his usage rate rises to about 27% when Ja's not playing. And in that game that he played against Toronto last Wednesday, he dropped 20 in that one with an incredible, ridiculous usage rate there at about 39%. So it does seem like he's sort of filling in that Ja Morant ball handler takeover role and have everybody just sort of play off of him. And I think that's a good indication of what's going to happen tonight. against a Toronto team that has kind of decided to tell us very clearly, we're not a very good basketball team, and we're certainly not a good defensive basketball team. They're giving up 113 points a game. And Memphis themselves, they give up 120 points per game in their last 9 specifically. And in those last 9 games for both teams, the Raptors actually have gone over in 7 of their last 9. I think it's just about pace for these teams. We know they're not going to be a lot of defense between them, and Dillon Brooks is going to be the guy pulling the ball for Memphis tonight. So I think it's really just a simple 24 points for him, over 23.5. And if you want to throw, that's points and rebounds combined, 23.5. Like as we mentioned, he also got those 6 boards last game against Toronto. So I would consider that, if you like it, 17.5 points is his point total as well. So if he gets 18 points, which I think is a super easy bet for him tonight against a really bad defensive Toronto team.
Yeah, and a team that he pulled at a 39% usage rate in their last meeting. It's not a sexy game on a night where there are really 2 interesting matchups, but I think maybe your best bet tonight is the over on the 216 total here, considering these teams are 28th and 29th in defensive rating in their last 9 games. And as you mentioned, giving up 120 and 113. And their last meeting just last week went to 239 combined. So the total is really low here just because we're moving from Memphis to Toronto. I don't necessarily think that suddenly the defense is going to ramp up to that degree for these teams. I'm taking an under on a player prop out west here. Anthony Davis, just not the best rebounder for his size. In fact, he has single-digit rebounds in 5 straight games, excluding a couple 10-rebound games against the Pistons, who just miss every single shot. The Kings are not that bad on offense, and somehow AD only had 8 boards when they went to triple overtime with Sacramento, and he played 49 minutes in that game. I think there's something to be said with Russell Westbrook and LeBron James both on the floor. That is a main reason why he's posting the lowest defensive rebounding rate of his career, grabbing just 20% of available boards on that end. And really, since he teamed up with LeBron, he averages 2 fewer rebounds per game, goes from 11 to 9 when LeBron is active. There's just enough guys to come in and crash here that I think AD goes under 10.5 rebounds, which is bad odds at FanDuel. You can take under 9.5 for good odds at DraftKings, or you can look to just combo the under 33.5 points and rebounds, because he's just not been getting the production he needs in the paint. I don't know if there is an injury there that we don't know about and he's gutting through it because of his injury history, or what the deal is. He just has not been as consistent hitting these props, and I would take the under on his rebounds first and foremost, because sometimes he just completely disappears from that glass cleaning.
Yeah, 100%. And it seems kind of related to him playing the 5, which he's done this year at about a 70% clip. And I think that's actually about to change. There's a story that came out just a day ago that LeBron at the 5 might be the new experiment for Frank Vogel, as I think he kind of feels his seat getting pretty hot underneath him as the Lakers continue to underperform. Maybe mix it up with something like that. But yeah, with LeBron on the court, AD's rebounds go down. And now LeBron playing center. I don't know, maybe they're just going, Anthony Davis is such a versatile guy who doesn't ever want to play in the post. He doesn't want to go down there and be 7 feet tall and be stronger than everyone for some reason. So they're going to basically just move him to a high post player and maybe even more of a facilitator. But I think the rebounds are going to hurt as a result. Good timing to take an under on him needing 11 boards tonight to get that total. So lastly, I'm going back to that Warriors-Suns game, and I'm looking at D Book specifically. I think there's a couple guys you could target in this one, but D Book seems to have some pretty favorable numbers tonight. Just need over 24.5 points for him. And you look at his last 4, 30 points per game on pretty insane splits, 56% from 3, 90% from the line, on a 33.3% usage rate. So he is shooting the ball a third of the time of those Suns possessions, and pretty incredible. And those 3 games that I mentioned, three of those last 4 rather, came against incredible defenses. You got Cleveland and then the 2 New York teams, Brooklyn and the Knicks, all in, really showing their defensive prowess this year, but not able to stop Booker at any rate. And then you look at, he comes to play against the Warriors in his last 5 against them, averaging 26.5 on 30 34% usage rate there. And the last time they played, it was an incredible performance as well. 34 points, shot 11 of 21 from the field and 4 of 9 from 3. So I think, this is a matchup that he seems to enjoy coming out and having something to prove against a guy like Steph. So I would definitely look at his over on the points there, 24.5. I know we were kind of split. You were feeling a little bit more of the under in this one. I was feeling a little bit more of the over. I'm scared of the under, but either way, I think Steph and D-Book come out to play tonight, which is our gift card opportunity. I'll mention once again their combined point total if you want to drop that in the comments. But yeah, I think D-Book is a good play tonight, even though, Golden State does do what they do on defense. I don't think there's too great of matchups for him tonight, and he should be able to exploit it.
Yeah, and you should drop that in the comments of the Warriors Suns video that we have up separately. Make sure you guys tune in for that one and be eligible for the gift card there. But yeah, the matchup, as you mentioned, they don't have a stopper because Klay Thompson has been out for years and he's still a couple weeks from returning. And Booker just loves to see that. You mentioned his numbers in the last meeting. That's without a very good defensive two guard to deal with him. Maybe we see more Gary Payton second out there tonight on Booker. But yeah, nobody's really had an answer for some of those fadeaways that he can unleash. And I think that in a game where, all eyes on Steph Curry, Chris Paul, I think DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker have some interesting prop bets to consider in a game that should go down to the wire.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned in that Warriors Suns game where you do need to drop in the comments of that video what you think the combined total of Booker and Curry will be. Thank you for that, Nate. But I did mention in that video, I do like DeAndre Ayton in this one as well to get some boards and mostly his points, where he's averaging 17 at home. And his point prop total tonight is 14.5 on FanDuel, close to even money. So feel really good about that. Lots to bet on tonight, even though it's a small slate, got some great matchups and some juicy bets to take advantage of tonight. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. And until we see you next, happy betting.